Happy Tuesday to everyone. This is the John McEntyre Show live prime time. I'm John McEntyre. Today is October the 29th, 2024. And the reason why I know that is because you've seen her on the show plenty of times. Today is Andrea's birthday. Andrea McIntyre's birthday, her sweet 16. So we've had her sweet 16. Took her to the DMV today to get her license, all of that good stuff. And so we're here to go to do to do a show to teach. Now we're going to teach her about money. That's why today's show is about teaching kids about money. I'm just kidding. But today, we've been having some fun here. So just to keep it is in the evening. We have to do everything we can do to keep the energy up. But yeah, we are talking about teaching kids about money. But you know the routine. Going to do some wallet wins, cover some wallet wins that has been shared with us, and then we'll get into it. So our first wallet win is paid off consumer debt, all debt except the house. I started with the most irritating debt, then switched to the debt avalanche, and that was a good strategy. Uh, Mixing two, I did a show specifically on paying off debt, the different strategies for debt payoff, and it was one everyone's heard about, either the debt avalanche or the debt snowball, um, but one that's becoming more and more utilized is the actual paying off the debt that's the most irritating, because most of the time when people are wanting to get out of debt, they have maybe one or two that really rubs them the wrong way. Maybe it's some personal loan, maybe they owe family member or friend some money, so they want to get that one out of the way, and then they get on to one of those other strategies. And so that's basically what this person was saying. Got rid of the irritating debt, then got on a debt avalanche, which is paying highest interest rate off first. So that's wallet win number one. Wallet win number two, I have saved 1 month of living expenses, and I've created my Christmas fund. Oh yes, it's two wallet wins. That's more than one. That's two wallet wins. Great. Yep. Two for one. Saving that 1 month of living expenses. That's good. Most people start with what, like $1,000. 1 month is even better to get started, and then to create that Christmas fund, it sounds like you're on the path of paying all cash. You do not want to finance Christmas. So that is two wallet wins. Wallet win number three, I opened my own IRA because my job doesn't offer a retirement benefits. Yep. So that is wise of you, and it can be much more beneficial in the long run. Anyway, um, most of the time, we the only time we recommend you sticking with the job, like a 401k, if it's offered, is if they're matching dollar for dollar or doing any type of match that's worth it, 50 cent on the dollar, something like that. But if they're not matching much or not matching at all, it is just much more beneficial to just have your own IRA, your own retirement account, because you do have more control over. And if you leave your job, that's one less thing you have to worry about taking with you. Because that's normally what happens when people switch jobs. They will forget about their retirement accounts till later on. So that is a very wise and prudent way of handling the retirement, and being proactive with that and having that thought process. So yeah, there we go. Three good wallet wins. All right, let's get into this. Our top five things to teach kids about money. The reason why I'm saying top five, there's more than five. There's a lot to teach kids about money. We all know that, but this is foundation, the first things to really teach them, depending upon age, things like that. And as they get older, they become much more sophisticated. As a matter of fact, my daughter at her high school, they're actually taking a personal finance class now as part of their economics class. She's a junior, and part of the economics class is the personal finance piece. So that is good. And they're like, she said they're talking about the very basics. She was telling me today they're talking about creating a budget. So I was like, oh yeah, make sure you pay attention, because I know she will pay more attention in class than, probably with us. And that works. I'm fine with it. As long as she's learning, I'm fine with it. Um, because we get a lot of parents telling us the kids will listen to what we say but won't listen to them. It's just kids. It's just today's kids, teenagers, and things. So the first one is earning. The first you want to teach them about is actually earning. And in our household, and we learned this from someone else, um, Bella has always been on commission, even though she didn't know it. She's always been on commission. And then once she got older, mom, we explained it to her that she was like, yes, some of the kids, they don't get an allowance. I was like, you never got an allowance either. You were getting a commission. It, it just didn't feel like it because you were doing your chores, but you was getting paid for the chores. And then she was like, oh yes, I do remember that. Sometimes I didn't get as much as weeks before, things like that. Exactly. You were on commission, uh, because uh, it's not that I'm against allowances. It's not that I never received an allowance. Um, my dad, he had his own business, and so that's how it was. That's how it was in the household, which was a good thing. Um, the conversation was, "Hey, I need some money for this." Okay, well, you know what you need to do. You need to come by the shop. And he had a little list of how much we earned for what we did. And it was actually much better. I mean, it was better than working at a fast food restaurant or whatever. I worked at another job as I got older, mainly because I just wasn't going around his business as much. um, but I made a lot more. He paid well above minimum wage, and it was off, very good money. Eighth grader going to the movies on Saturdays with $50 in their pocket. I mean, yeah, so what $50 would do. What $50 would do today, going to the movies, let alone back then. So I was good. So I never received an allowance. I had some friends, they received allowances, and their parents. I remember talking to the parents once we got older, and I would talk to some of the neighbors, and they were like, "Yeah, I kind of regret I gave allowances because um, it had them thinking that that's just what happens. People are just going to give them money." And I guess my parents and some of the other parents just didn't want us thinking that way. And so learning to earn money, um, it's a lot of lessons that you can actually teach them. There's a book that I've actually reviewed here on the show. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And one of the best lessons, I think I actually talked about that. One of the best lessons of that book was how you earn money is probably one of the most important lessons you will learn about money, because what happens, you will get addicted to receiving money that way. That's why it's like so hard for people that are working jobs, corporate jobs, things like that. Especially once they're high level and they're getting paid a lot of money. That's why it's so hard for them to become entrepreneurs, business owners, because they've become addicted to receiving that regular paycheck. And if they miss work, or if they don't, if they miss work or whatever, they will still get paid, still get the pay, and they can set everything up because it's predictable. Whereas being an entrepreneur, you don't kill, you don't eat. It's basically that way. And it's like breaking any other addiction. How you're receiving the money is how you get used to it. And that has created certain systems, good and bad, in America, where people, they know the system of, for instance, welfare. um, is a system where if you do certain things, you will receive your money each month. And so people, they actually govern their life around that. And they can be extremely talented people, talented, have some great, excellent skills, money making skills. But because, and I've heard it time and time again, um, no, if I do that, then that could mess up my check. they become addicted to receiving money that way. That's all that it is. It's that addiction. It's like any other addiction, food or whatever. Um, I've never been addicted to drugs, but from what I understand, people say that their body actually yearns for it, wants it, and they actually go, and they go through withdrawals and things. Well, some people, they actually feel that way when it comes to receiving money a certain way. So that is. So those are some lessons you can actually teach a kid about earning when they're earning the money. And commission is one of the best ways of, if they do more, they get more money. They do less, they get less money. That will at least put them in a paradigm of, okay, the more I produce, the more I serve, the more money I can make. And that's a good paradigm to take out into the world. They know, okay, I have to serve and produce to get it. So earning, that's number one. Number two, they receive the money. You have to teach them about budgeting. Um, basically, the quote is, you tell your money what to do when you're young, or it will tell you what to do when you're old. And so, budgeting. Some people think that budgeting is so restrictive. No, budgeting is very freeing, because it keeps you in a place to where you get overextended and things like this, and you develop bad habits, and you end up, we're seeing an older generation, a lot of them, um, they share their stories and their regrets and things, and one of them is always, I wish I would have managed my money much better, like budgeting and things like that. Because I'm not working at this job because I want to. I have to. I have to do it to survive, because I just didn't manage my money correctly. Now I can't afford the health care that I need, things like that. And that's because they just did not budget their money wisely. You know, uh, my mom. She was the one. Her budgeting system was nothing fancy, but she did do it. I would see her do it every week, and no matter what, she never went past her budget. Even if she had to talk to us about getting some stuff that she wanted, she would not go past her budget. She wouldn't spend all of her money. She might spend hours, but she would not spend hers. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. That's knowing your limitations and not going to overextend yourself, um, and recruit other people's money. OPM. Hey, big businesses are built that way. And I say it in jest, but that was her style. And I mean, we knew what she was doing, and it was fine. That's mom. It was cool, no big deal. But I watched her, with budgeting. Um, so budgeting is very important. Number three is saving. I have to teach them about saving. Um, that's the old, who was it? Benjamin Franklin. It was it Benjamin Franklin said, "A penny saved is a penny earned." Yep. How true it is. You start them early with paying. I call it paying yourself first. 10%, saving the dime off the dollar, at a young age. Yeah, you would definitely be well ahead of things in a short amount of time, because now the eighth wonder of the world, compound interest, that kicks in and things like that. You put it in a savings account. You don't want to oversave, but it is one of the best habits, especially today, because it's like America is like, well, it's not even America anymore. It's some countries that were, everyone says America is falling behind. There's other countries that are in worse shape, that were in better shape than America. They're in worse shape than America now, because their citizens aren't saving like they used to. Because this is a global community now, and everyone's interconnected. It used to be a time, you know, in the 80s, for instance, in the 80s, early 90s or whatever, uh, not everyone knew who Amazon was, even though it was just books at the time. But only America knew what Amazon was. Now, you could be anywhere in the world. You can order Amazon. So, and I say that to say, so that means anyone can spend. And it used to be a time where certain stores weren't in certain places, so they just, they didn't see it, so they just didn't make certain purchases. Now, I remember, and I wish I had Andre on with me. I remember we were on this committee in Charlotte, and these different countries from around the world, they came, and it was like this big meeting. They was talking about business, everything, economic development, and all of this. And one of the things that really, for lack of a better term, it tripped me out. I tripped out. They said there's parts of Africa the people are starving, but they have cell phones. They were using cell phones, but they was, they were not eating because some of them was actually taking their money getting cell phones. And it was very expensive and it was China that had came in and put the towers up and brought the phones in and had, had people walking around on phones, but not eating, or not taking care of themselves, not doing healthcare, all of this type of stuff. And that was, I had to share that story just to show how interconnected we are now. We can have access. So all the countries now are in these, deficits. Some are healthier than America, but not by much. It's nothing to, like, really be that proud of. And that's because, just as a whole, on a global scale, people just aren't saving like they used to, like in a financially responsible way, for lack of a better term. So teaching them about saving, starting early, that's one of the best habits. The next one is spending. Actually spending the money, because this is actually the number one behavior kids learn from their parents. They may not see parents paying bills, things like that, taking care of repairs, all of this. But they will see them spending because a lot of times they are with them either in the store or online. So that's one of the habits. And so if they're not being taught, hey, this is a limit. I only limit myself to $100 a month doing this. And once I hit $100, I'm done. If they never tell them that, then most kids just think, hey, all I need is this card. And all I do is I put it in machines, I swipe it, whatever, and I get to take stuff home. They don't know that, no, you don't get to do that. The card represents a certain amount of money. And so that's the number one. So spending has to be like pounded home into their minds, and especially with separating needs versus wants, having to understand needs versus wants. That's the big one. Um, and sitting down and showing them, this is how we spend. You're going back to the budget. This is what we're doing. And so that, you see how important the spending one is. Then the fifth one, last but definitely not least, and it probably in my up there with earning, the next one is behind earning is giving, because being generous keeps them selfless, and it keeps them from being overly attached to money, to every last cent, and it keeps a lot of things in balance. Um, Mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It keeps them being, in a balanced situation. And you rarely see generous people not receiving generosity. Yeah, it's actually, yes, it's practicing gratitude. It's actually practicing gratitude, um, and that can be a certain dollar amount, or it can be a percentage. Uh, as we got older, it's always been at least 10%. But in the beginning with them, it can be, you start them off with the 10%. Pay yourself 10% and give 10%. Or it can be a dollar amount and it can increase. They may have that spirit of generosity. It may be one of their, they may be highly gifted in that area, highly sensitive, and they may just like being generous. Um, and they have to be taught, okay, it's good to be a giver, but don't overextend yourself. Don't become to where everyone can take advantage of you. You're constantly giving, and then it puts you in trouble. So, but teaching them those, these are the top five, that if it's like I call them the foundation or the fundamentals. It's like if anything gets funny or whatever, you fall back on the fundamentals. It's like in sports, team is getting behind or they're getting out of sync, fall back on the fundamentals, and that'll get you back on track. So these are the five fundamentals, and then you have the other ones. Of course, you have investing, you have insurance, you have all of those things. But let's get these foundational things, and then that, because if you don't take care of these, the other ones really won't work anyway. They won't do very well. So those are the top five that I recommend that you teach the kids about money. And that takes me to my question of the day, which is, what have you taught your kids about money? It's a pretty basic question. What have you taught? If you are teaching them anything, anyway, you are teaching them. Remember, you are teaching them. You're teaching them, and mainly in the spending area. If you're not intentionally sitting down with them and teaching them like how to budget, earning, explaining all of those different areas, saving, giving, and everything, they're going to learn spending. Now, if you are, for instance, if you are a very generous person, that is something they can learn also. They see you being generous with your money. Maybe you're walking and someone less fortunate asks for some money and you give it. They always see that. They see your generous spirit. That is good. That's good. But it would be better just be intentional with it. Just be intentional. It's plenty of times I remember Bella and I, when she was much younger, we would be, and someone would ask us, we would be out and about, someone would ask us for, something. Andrea, she took it to like the very next level. I was like, whatever money we had in our pockets, we would just give the money. She would like ask questions. Are you hungry? Are you this? And she would talk to, yes, I'm hungry. Okay, well, let's go over here and get you something to eat. And so that was also a much deeper lesson, which is finding out what they really need, why they want the money, because we all know sometimes people are asking for money for the wrong reasons. And so Andrea, she took care of teaching Bella that side of things. I would talk to her about it. And Andrea was very, very good at modeling that. She actually, Bella understands how to do it. So that's the question of the day. What have you taught your kids about money? All right, we're going to end it there. I hope that I gave some good information. If I did, share it, subscribe to the channel, send in your wallet wins, your questions, your comments, and until tomorrow, we'll see you same time, same channel. Have a good evening.